back to the HaneyBiz Project with host Mark Haney.
All right. Welcome back to the HaneyBiz Project, brought to you courtesy of Sun System Technology. I'm Mark Haney, and I am joined by Mr. Roger Ackers. How you doing, Roger?
I'm just great.
I appreciate you joining me. We're here in Mark Tank. Last time you were on the show, we were down at the radio station. Now recording here in my office. I got to walk like 6 steps to get over here to hang out with my good buddy, Roger Ackers.
This is so much more comfortable, let me tell you. It's much less intimidating.
Well, welcome back. Today we're talking about investing. We're talking about venture capital. You're an angel investor and a venture capitalist. Maybe you can start by giving us an overview of your background, and then we'll dive into some of the nuts and bolts and see if we can demystify venture capital and angel investing for our listeners.
That'd be great. Well, as everybody that I know knows, I'm the luckiest guy in Sacramento, and probably the luckiest guy you've ever met. And part of that, we won't go into all of that, but the reality is I had some great successes early on, and I had some great mentors early on that really helped me understand business and helped me grow personally to be able to handle the rigors of growing businesses, and got to build a successful business from about 1983 up to 95. And I was lucky enough to be able to sell that company, and it was in an IT consulting services company, and we had a great success there and made enough money, so I get to horse around a lot these days.
You know, well, we'll talk about some of that luck. You found a way to parlay that luck into some very good skills, right? Some very good wins. Let's talk about some of that too.
And from that, when we got that sold at the right time, I might add, I took some time off. My wife helped me take some time off, and then I kind of reinvented myself and started a little consulting firm and did some work for Intel and CiscoSystems, but just to kind of waste some time to figure out what I really want to do in the future. And then got a partner, and we started Akers Capital and raised the first venture capital fund here in the Sacramento region. And it was small. It was in comparative terms, but it was the type of investing and the type of capital that the region needed, and that's what we thought that this region needed very, very badly. And we were able to put $2 million into a company and have money in reserve to help them into the future. So we got to make a number of great investments in the western U.S. and here in the Sacramento region, and help grow some businesses, grow some great management teams, and ultimately have some great successes.
Well, let's talk about choosing those businesses, because there are so many people that want help from venture capitalists like yourself and like Curt, who's coming up on the show, with private equity. There's a lot of people that have ideas about growing businesses. How do you decide which businesses, which entrepreneurs are ready for the kind of investment that you want to bring?
Well, you know, that's a great question. And you know, I've told this number to a number of people over the years, but since 2000, we've seen about 13,000 business plans.
Wow.
So how do you ever evaluate and do a good job at really evaluating that many business plans? So you have to have a fairly rigorous criteria to be able to do that.
You bet.
And if you evaluate that and say, why did you make the investments that you did, and why did you pick the companies that you did overall, it's all about the people.
Okay.
It was all about the people and the teams of people, and putting the right people. Usually, every one of the business models that we ultimately picked to invest in, those business models ultimately changed.
Yeah.
You know, they really did. They didn't stay the same company as they had originally intended them to be.
So you look for a management team or a leadership team that knows how they can adapt to the changes that are going to be inevitably faced on the ground, right? You need somebody who can make the adjustment, the game time decisions.
They have to evolve. They have to be able to evolve on an ongoing basis and look and find where the opportunities are. They have to look at the complementary companies in their space and how to leverage those complementary companies. They need to look at the competition and take whatever information and data that they can from the competitors and really come back and apply that and figure out how to really differentiate themselves in the market.
So that knowledge is important. How important is it to determine the chemistry between the leaders, especially in these early stage companies? How important is it that the founders have worked together in the past?
Well, it's extremely important, and quite honestly, there's a lot of dumb luck involved in that, because a lot of partners ultimately want to kill each other before they're done.
Either way, no matter when, even if they're brothers, they've known each other since they were kids.
Even more.
I can relate.
But I'd have to say that you're looking for that great team and that symbiotic team that actually can agree that at least even through hard times they continue to have respect for the other members on their team and show real respect to other people on their teams, and evolve those teams as they need to. And it's a fascinating process. I would also, just as an adjunct to that, just remember when you're adding to those teams, it's a tricky thing, because people in the investment business help do that organizational development type work as they go along. And I have to tell you, if you get 1 out of 3 people that are successful that you hire into those types of situations, you're average.
Yeah.
If you get 2 out of 3, you're better than everybody else. And if you get 3 out of 3, you're lying to yourself.
Yeah. Well, we talked about this a little bit at the beginning, how betting on the right horses is so important, whether it's a fight, an MMA fight, or whether it's a business strategy or a business team. But thinking about it from the other side, right? That if I'm an entrepreneur, if I have my business plan, my team's coming together, how do I decide what my company is worth? I know that Roger Akers cares about investing in a team that's going to give him the right return on his investment, right? A big return, a winning return. But how do I price my product? How do I price my business if I'm earlier in the game? Maybe I don't even have much revenue yet, or any.
There's a lot of different ways to look at that question. You get pretty analytic and read a lot about that. But at the end of the day, your investor and the right investor for you, there's a couple of things that you need to look at in the right investor. And it's also a great way to sell to those investors as well. But you really have to identify whether that investor brings the right talent and the right connections and the right capabilities to you to help you grow your business and help you evolve your business on an ongoing basis. It's absolutely critical. And at the same time, you also have to have those investors that are willing to make the right deal for you.
Okay.
If they knock you down and they take whatever you value that business at originally, and they take too much of the business, you're going to resent that as you go along, because you're the one doing the real work for a living, right?
There's got to be enough motivation remaining in the thing.
So any good investor has to make it fair for the people that they're putting their lives on the line to go make that company work, and they have to be fair. And if you find those guys that are investing in those kinds of businesses that are trying to be bottom feeders and take every nickel and be unfair in that process and control every single aspect of that business growth, you're going to find that they're the wrong investor, and don't get involved with them if you possibly can. It has to be fair. Now, just a couple of metrics on that front. Just so you know, I don't care whether you're raising $1 million or you're raising $10 million on your first round. Don't give away more than 33% of your company. Okay? Just don't do it. And they'll try, but just don't do it.
They'll try to take more than 33%. Well, do not give more than 33%
but whether
up
it's
at the
10
first.
or 1, you're still going to give up about 33 million or 33% of the company. And then you'll figure out in order to figure out what the valuation of your company is, that pre-money valuation,
right?
Something that's really important to do there is go figure out how much money you're really going to need to get to your first inflection point, i.e. when you're going to start being able to scale growth and really making revenue, and then what it's going to take to get to a point where you're breaking even and actually really starting to accelerate your business. And when you figure out those 2 points and how much money that really is going to need, multiply times 2, and that's what your valuation is. It's art, not science.
Oh,
it's art.
Wow. Very informative stuff. I think we could talk about this all day long. We're going to bring on a man who has a lot of experience in later stage companies. Mr. Curt of DCA Capital will be joining us after the break. This is the HaneyBiz Project.